Social media is literally one of the worst addictions that you can have, but if I'm being honest with you, I think it's probably one of the biggest wastes of time. I'm somebody who's had it's funny when I was in high school, which was about like 10 years ago now, right? I was never really a social media person, right? Like I had a Facebook. I didn't have a Twitter. I was always on YouTube. I don't really consider like YouTube a social media. I like there's a lot of education and like entertainment in it, but I feel like it's way less toxic than what social media is now. But even back then with social media, I knew that it wasn't as toxic as what it is now, because towards the end of high school I ended up making an Instagram, I ended up making a Twitter, just because like, I've always been trying to be an entrepreneur, so I made those things to have those accounts, right? And I never like really actually like was on it, but even when I was on it was all fun and games, nothing crazy, right? But at this point in time, I feel like social media is really poison for the brain. There's nothing that good comes out of it. And it's all an algorithm at this point, right? Whatever is popular is going to be pushed into your feed. And most of the time, that stuff that gets pushed into your feed is not healthy stuff. It's clickbait stuff. It's lustful stuff. It's stuff that gets people talking and could be entertainment, right? And again, there's a line between what's entertainment, what's real, what's actually healthy for you. And it just goes down a whole rabbit hole, to be honest with you. Even like the addiction on wanting to be on your phone and checking and comparing yourself and etc., right? So once again, I never had a social media when I was in high school, but then I ended up making a social media after, and I was never really even on it like that. Again, like I was always like to myself, and like I followed people here and there, but like over a period of time, funny enough, when I started getting into like entrepreneurship and etc., I started to be on it a lot, right? Because I was scouring out like what was working, what were the trends and all that type of stuff, right? But also at the same time, like I would follow my peers. Again, I was a part of a film program in a film based high school, and I would connect with those people, because in the industry it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's how you get connected. You get connected to projects and etc. And I found myself when I followed those people comparing myself to what they had and what I didn't have, or like, hey, look, I should be on that project, or hey, look, why don't I have a project like this and stuff like that, right? So that ended up making me open to like comparing myself. And it's funny because like I was always a person that like never really gave a fuck about like what somebody else was doing or like what they had going on, because I liked what I had going on and my accomplishments. I was always focused on my accomplishments. But then when social media came around and I was on it, I ended up like comparing myself to other people, and then it made me feel a way when I would get on and then I seen somebody like working for a big company. I'm like, like, why am I not doing that? Or it even like goes even deeper, right? Like I remember I had a group of friends and I was a part of the friend group, right? But later on I kind of trailed off. It was, how friend groups could be sometimes, like when you have a group of 5 or 6, and sometimes they might play favorites in the group, sometimes they might not play favorites in the groups. That's what happens in high school, young adults and stuff like that, right? But then I'll get on and then I'll see all my friends like doing something that they didn't invite me to, and then I would feel some type of way. I'm like, yo, like I don't understand, like why did everybody in the group chat that I'm in get invited to something but that I didn't get invited to it? So I'm looking at it and like now I'm pissed off again, comparing myself and just like feeling bad about myself, right? But like this is where like the where things like really turned for me, right? So like again, I've mentioned a couple of times on this channel, and if you're new to the channel, again, like I have a very big entrepreneurship background, and my dumbass fell into the wrong information while being on social media when it came to like what it is to be a man, what it is to be in business, like the hustle culture, like grind, don't care about this, like as you guys would say, the red pill stuff, right? Which it's funny, when I made my first video kind of talking about that, I got a lot of flack for it. It's like, well, how stupid could you be to fall into that? And it's kind of like, hey, look, like when you're desperate, when you're depressed or whatever seems like it would work is something that you're gonna gravitate towards. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever applied for a job and it seemed too good to be true, and then like you're still going along with it up until they're like, oh well, we're gonna send you a check and you're gonna deposit it, and and then you're thinking like, oh yeah, because you really need a job. That's actually happened to me one time, but then like I was like, no, I'm not gonna deposit that because it's gonna just bounce and you're gonna freeze my account. But they usually say like when you're in a desperate situation, like all opportunities look like opportunities, right? And that's like why scammers exist. So I was on social media a lot, again, trying to, become what I wanted to be, or what I thought was like either a man or being an entrepreneur or whatever may have you. And it literally destroyed my brain. It destroyed my brain because, again, I was comparing. I had a lot of anxiety. I had it was always like mixing my mood if I saw somebody else doing this and I wanted to do this. And they usually say too, it's kind of like if you want something for yourself and you see somebody else doing it, it says something more about yourself than the other person. It just shows like what you want, right? So and again, like when I was in the relationship I was in, I kind of like dived into social media because me and the person wasn't talking. So it was a mess, right? It was a mess. And even up until recently, so I quit social media about I want to say like a month and change ago. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I feel I don't miss that shit ever, and I'm actually never ever going back to it. The only thing that I have at this point is YouTube, and I love YouTube as of recently because recently I just been doing a lot of like listening to like podcasts and people's experiences and things like that. Like I feel like YouTube is more real instead of it being like a flashy thing and like a Bugatti this and Bugatti that and like 15 chicks here and like all this type of stuff, right? But I literally quit social media again a month and change ago, and my mind feels so much clearer. I feel so much free, and I don't even have the fear of missing out, as they would say, right? Because like this is how I thought about it too, and I quit. And it's funny because when I did quit, like I was still like kind of like going through it again, as you guys know on my channel and stuff like that. Like I'm working my way out of a situation. I'm in a way better place now than how it was back then. But I remember like one day, like again, the month ago, like I was sitting there and I was contemplating, I'm like, I should just like delete this like forever, right? And then I was actually on YouTube and I saw a YouTube video that said like, oh, this is your sign to delete social media. And I looked at it and then I was watching the person's like perspective and like what they were saying and the benefits. And then I was like, you know what? This is my sign to delete it. So I actually deleted everything and I literally don't have any social media. And I like literally like my mind's been clear. I've been like less anxious. I've been less stressed. And it really comes to the point where like, I can actually ground myself in like what I want to do. It came to the point where it's kind of like, why the fuck do I care about other people's lives, and why do I give a fuck about what people see within my life? You know what I'm saying? It's like, for example, like I have kids, right? Like I love them to death, right? Why do I need to post that on social media with my children and showing everybody who they don't know me, they probably don't care, and they'll move on with their day, and then I'll get some satisfaction by showing that off or getting some likes and stuff like that. Like it really doesn't make any sense, right? So that's kind of like the mindset I have been having with that. And again, it's kind of like don't get me wrong, it's funny because like when I did delete it, like I ended up needing to fill the time in because I was realizing I'm like, yo, I really spent my time when I was bored just doom scrolling. And again, like when you're doom scrolling, like you're getting all this information that like can shift your mood or make you not feel good or whatever it may have you. So I had to fill up my time. And it's funny because I when I quit social media, every other addiction that I had, like it literally cleaned up and I literally don't have it no more, right? So for example, and I'll get a little vulnerable here, right? So and I changed a couple of things. So a corn addiction, right? That's something that was a problem that I did have, right? Don't have it no more once I got off of social media. And like when I think about it, I'm like, it's because like when you're on social media, it's kind of like usually say it's like soft corn, right? It's kind of like the algorithm is gonna push boobs and butt, this and that, right? It floods your brain, right? And then now you're always in this like lustful state or this or that, right? Now I deleted it, and now that other addiction is like, that's something I don't even think about like at all, and I can't even find myself to get on that ever again, which is like the craziest thing. And like that's a whole video for like a whole different day. It's been helpful, you know what I'm saying? Because like now I feel more healthier. I am not in like in a lustful state 24/7, because that's not a good thing, especially as a man. It's not a good thing, right? That's something that needs to be kicked. If you're somebody who watches that, stop watching that shit. Right? So then I would fill up my time as well with like working out now, right? So like now all I do is work out, right? I've been doing it consistently for like the last month, right? And I'm seeing results. I'm actually kind of happy with it, right? I'm trying to gain weight, right? I'm trying to build muscle, feel good about myself, confident, stuff like that. I always had confidence, but it's kind of like I never had like the extra confidence of like a built body, right? So it's kind of like I'm excited for it. I'm also doing it for a couple other things that I got to bring a video on once I get clearance on to say what I want to say about that, right? But I filled my time up with working out. What was the other addictions that I stopped as well too? Oh yeah, I also had a vaping addiction that I stopped. Funny enough, like I don't want to say I stopped it completely, but like I relapsed just a couple of days ago, right? But this is versus like me having 4 vapes a week, 5 vapes a week, or whatever it may have you. It's been a month and I only have one, and I literally just bought it recently just because like I relapse with that, but like, you know, you got to give me something, right? So but it's not like a need where I need to do it as much anymore, right? I haven't kicked it completely, but it definitely reduced, right? I'm not addicted to weed anymore, right? That's something that I had an issue with as well too, is like smoking consistently, weed, and that's something that I don't do anymore. And then there was another addiction or something that I had a problem with, but can't remember at this point. But my point is, like, all addictions that I did have fell off once I got off of social media, and I don't know like really what that is. Obviously, it's like kind of like how does it kind of makes sense for social media to kind of bleed into a corn addiction, right? But like, how does social media bleed in with like a vaping addiction? And in my head, for me, I feel like it's more of like I can do this thing, a more of a confidence thing, right? So everything else became easier, and like instead of you know, falling into any other addiction, I put good ones in. So like, again, like the working out thing is one, right? My focus is better, right? I'm in school, so like I'm able to focus a little bit more now. There's other tests that I'm trying to take. I actually just booked my driving lessons today actually, and I take them starting this Monday. So that's something else that like I've been putting focus on. I've also been trying to build other skills, like as you guys know, like with carpentry and now electrician. Again, there's like things have shifted since the last time I made a video. Again, when I posted my videos for the last 3 weeks, those were pre-recorded, and so much has happened within the last 3 weeks, right? But I just feel like also too, like I feel more grounded as well too, and I just feel more in my head. I sit with my thoughts now. I feel more in control of a lot, right? And again, a lot of that has also been like meditation. It's been journaling. You know, I journal a lot now to like see my thoughts and etc. I read a lot now too. Like I've always been a big reader. Like, you know, I've always been a big reader when it came to entrepreneurship. And like now, instead of reading entrepreneurial books, it's more of like emotional intelligence, or like what it is to be a man, and like things like that, right? And not for nothing, my content has been like that on YouTube for funny enough. Like I've been reading a lot of like or watching and listening to just like a lot of men just talk about like what it is to be a man, and like, you know, initiations on like a boy from a man, like, you know, who, like how a man takes care of his family, like more healthier things, not bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of things like that, and a lot of that stuff like I actually been applying to my life, and I have been seeing changes like with my life, how I am, how I come off, how I interact with people and stuff like that. You know, it's funny, like, and just a small example for that, right? So it's like, for example, like a man, and this is like a whole other video that I really want to bring a video on, right? But like how to be a better man, right? I've learned that, like, you know, a better man, or a man, likes to go out in the world and doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't take shit from nobody, but makes things happen, right? Instead of like being like quiet and content, right? Now it's funny, I was always a person that was like very outspoken and loud and stuff like that. Over the last couple of years, I kind of lost that because, again, a lot of mental stuff, right? But as simple as like my driving lessons, for example, right? I booked it, and they said it takes 48 hours for somebody to get to you, and they'll get in contact. It has been 48 hours and nobody has gotten in contact with me. However, these people took my money and I haven't heard from anybody. I need to fucking do my driving lessons now. So the old me would have been like, oh, I'm gonna wait around and maybe complain about it and bitch about it and stuff like that. What I ended up doing today was calling the place. Hey guys, I booked 48 hours ago and nobody contacted me. They were like, well, because we didn't get to your email. Yeah, I understand that, but like, you know, the money is out of my account, so I'm trying to get this started. So when can we start? Okay, what's your name? Told them my name. When do you want to start? Oh, I want to start this money. Okay, we'll book you in, and I got the email to set that up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like little simple things like that, and I've been like doing that a lot in life as of lately because of, again, it's a lot of reset. Like from the last time that since my first video, it's been a fucking huge change for me with a lot of things, and like just relearning things and like taking away old habits and stuff like that. And that's something that I'm definitely going to make a video on. Probably going to record it right after this, 'cause I feel like it's been very important. Like, again, for you guys, it's something to know. For my sons, you know, when they watch this channel, this is something to know, you know. So it's kind of like, I don't know if social media is going to be around for their time, around their time, but you know, it's something to like take note of, you know what I'm saying? Like it's more of like, don't have external things control your internal, right? And social media was like literally like one of those things, and apparently like it's a big addiction, you know. Again, I go on the train all the time, everybody's looking down at their phone. If I'm at a function, I see people still looking down at their phone. Again, when I was at the bar with my mom for her birthday, people were on their phone. It makes no sense to me, right? And then people ask, why can we not like really interact with people nowadays, because everything's on the fucking phone, which makes no sense, right? It's too much information out there. Everybody becomes too self-aware, your brain overload, you get tired, again, you feel away. Things are happening in the world with the news, all these wars. You cannot control that type of stuff, right? So it's kind of like, the world has always kind of been a dark place, but now it's kind of like with social media, like we can see those darknesses come to life, and it's like, I'd rather not see it. Like, I want to be aware of it. Like, if it's important enough, it'll come like I'll get a alert on my phone, or I get my news from YouTube, and again, unless it's breaking news or something crazy, or my mom would tell me something about it, like if it's that important, it will definitely come to me. But I don't need to know every single update of like what's going on, to be honest, because I can't control that stuff. And if I'm distracted all the time, I can't get my work done and get myself out of a situation that I am in. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I feel like that's done purposefully. Again, that's a video for a different day. So yeah, social media, I really recommend anybody who has social media, like I recommend to just quit it entirely. I'm not gonna lie, because there's like really like no need for it unless you're like using it for business and you're actually making money for it. There's like really no need for it. And I'm up to the point where it's kind of like, if I ever start a business again, I don't even want to handle the social media account. I want somebody else to do it. I just don't want to go on social media ever again. Like, unless it's like a LinkedIn, which is like the only probably last healthy place for to get things done. But even that sometimes is kind of like, it's very robotic on there. It's all over the place. So quit social media, or limit yourself to it. But then again, ask yourself, like, why do I need to limit something that I really don't fucking need? Is it worth my time? Is it adding anything? Again, for me, like, YouTube has been really helpful. I can curate it, and a lot of more valuable stuff is on there. Like, you got psychologists, therapists, relationship therapists, men trying to give men advice, like things like that. You don't really get that on social media. You get a bunch of the bullshit on there. Again, entertainment, girls, money, a Bugatti, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not gonna make you feel good, because like social media is really not real life. It's not. And again, I'm somebody who unfortunately fell into that trap. Again, it's like, I'm gonna say this again: when you're desperate, you're gonna like latch to anything that gives you a little hope or gives you a little bit of power or whatever. If the world and a lot of people are not as happy as they were back then, you go on social media and you see stuff that looks like they could help you. I think that's part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the plan, and that's what's fucking people up at this point. Again, I'm somebody who recovered from that, and I don't miss it. I will never get back on it ever again. And my children will never have social media unless they get older and stuff like that. That's their decision. But there's no way that my 13-year-old son, daughter, is having a social media account. It's just not fucking happening, So, yeah, guys, that's my thing. Again, if you are struggling with any type of addiction or feeling any type of way, you don't feel as grounded, you don't feel this or that or whatever may have you, try doing a social media detox. Try doing it for 30 days, right? And then when you come back to it, right, maybe journal and how that time was for you for the 30 days. And then really ask yourself, do I really need this? Do I really need to be on this? What is the purpose of me being on it? And if I do want to be on it because I want to check in with Sally from high school, or I want to stay in contact with my grandmother on Facebook, make some boundaries for yourself on how long you want to be on it. An hour a week, an hour a day. I mean, to me, that's a little too much, but like a 30 minutes, 10 minutes, check in, right? Do I need to be in contact with those people unless I have their number? Maybe you should call them. Maybe you should FaceTime them instead of posting a picture so they can see it and like they interact with you through a like. Maybe you should FaceTime your grandmother. You know what I'm saying? So it's like little things like that. Again, I feel so grounded. I feel so much happier. Again, there's so much things I'm still working through, but it's not based on social media. It's like other things at this point. So, yeah, guys, so that is this week's video. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up because I'm doing this kind of late. My posting schedule now is Thursdays, I believe, at 5 or 6 now, so I'm going to try to get them up. Today is Thursday, and it's about to be 5 or 6, so you're either going to see this the day of, or maybe this weekend, or the following weekend. I'll put a post about it, something like that. So if you did enjoy this video, leave a like, comment down below, tell me what you think about social media. Tell me, like, have you seen any effects being on it, being off of it, your opinion on it, and I will see you in the next video. And remember, life is a game.